I'm a simple girl. Always have been. The first time I fell in love, my best friend told me, if a guy's a player, just get a new one. I took that advice straight to heart. My first boyfriend wasn't exactly faithful. He had this inseparable girl bro always hanging off him like a shadow. So, I found another one. My second boyfriend wasn't great either. He practically lived in bars and his phone was a graveyard of pretty girls' numbers. So, I found another one. The third was still hung up on his old flame, some girl he could never quite let go of. And just as I was about to start the hunt for number 4, my best friend kicked down my door and screamed at me, her voice cracking with desperation. The whole point of get a new one is that you dump the old one first. I just stared at her blankly. Oh, I said. Well, which one do you want? I can give you one. Growing up, I did what my parents told me. Now that I'm older, I do what my best friend Zoe tells me. My life had been a straight line of studying and exams. So when I finally got into college, I decided it was time to spread my wings, challenge myself, get a boyfriend. I inherited my parents' good looks. So, I wasn't exactly lacking in that department. But I had zero idea what to look for in a guy. For that, I consulted the expert Zoe. She was trying on a new dress in front of the mirror, casually handing down her wisdom like she was giving a lecture. Guys are like dogs, Thea. You're too nice to them, and they don't know what to do with it. The best way to handle them is to keep them on their toes. A little pushback, then a little affection. She adjusted the straps on her dress and glanced at her reflection, satisfied. Oh, and don't ever try to change a guy. If he's a player, just replace him. Keep replacing them until you find one you like. I sat on a small stool, dutifully nodding like this was a math problem I could solve if I took enough notes. I sort of got it. Maybe not completely. If you're not satisfied, replace him. And so, just as I was getting ready to find my fourth replacement, my first one found me. He cornered me, his voice tight with anger. Thea, who are those two guys? Why are they telling everyone you're their girlfriend? Liam was gorgeous. That was rule number 1. Zoe had said it like it was common sense. If he's not hot, she told me, you'll lose your appetite just looking at him. I took it to heart. I met Liam at freshman orientation. He was a popular senior in my major up on stage sharing his experiences. I was sitting in the front row and I was probably the only girl there actually listening to his speech instead of just staring at his face. After the event, he came straight up to me and asked for my number. He started texting me constantly, checking in, walking me back to my dorm after class. On weekends, he'd take me shopping off campus, to the movies, out to dinner. He'd bring bubble tea and snacks when I was stressed from studying. He even bought me a ridiculously expensive necklace. For the first 18 years of my life, my world had been a placid pond. Liam was the first stone to ever make a ripple. So when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I said yes. What I didn't expect was that after we got together, I discovered he had a best girlfriend who was practically attached to his hip. On one of our dates, Liam's girl bro showed up uninvited. She slung an arm around his shoulder like they were lifelong buddies and winked at me. The girlfriend won't mind, right? She said. Me and Liam go way back. We're totally platonic. Liam just sighed, but it wasn't annoyed. It was indulgent, like this was a cute habit he'd never bother correcting. They is super understanding, he said. She doesn't get hung up on stuff like this. I smiled, watching how close they were. Somewhere in the back of my mind, Zoe's voice echoed. Some things are only for a boyfriend and girlfriend. So what were they and what did that make me? For our 1-month anniversary, Liam took me to an amusement park. We were having a great day, mostly because his girl bro Tanya was nowhere in sight. But as dusk fell and we headed for the Ferris wheel, she popped up like a weed. That same overly casual look, that same comfortable entitlement. She linked her arm through Liam's like it was her right. Liam, what a coincidence. You're here too. He smiled at her. Tanya, what are you doing here? Did you come by yourself? Yep. Her voice had something sour tucked inside it. You know me. I can't stand hanging out with other girls. There's always drama. And the guys were all busy today. They stood there chatting like I didn't exist, like I was just a stranger passing by. Finally, Liam seemed to remember me, though there wasn't a hint of apology on his face. Thea, Tanya's here by herself. Why don't we let her join us? At that, Tanya finally looked at me, plastering a look of regret on her face. Oh, the girlfriend. She widened her eyes. I didn't even see you there. You're not mad, are you? Then she let out a little sound. Half laugh, half hiss. Liam and I are just friends. You really don't need to be so jealous about everything. I hadn't even said a word, and she'd already painted me as the crazy, clingy girlfriend. I smiled sweetly and shook my head. It's fine. I know you don't get along with other girls. The more the merrier. Tanya's expression flickered like she could tell I was being polite in a way that wasn't exactly warm. But Liam, bless his heart, completely missed it. He just thought I was being sweet and understanding. When we got to the Ferris wheel, each car only had room for 2. Tanya, still clinging to Liam's arm, chattered away as they both climbed into a car together. Only after they'd already settled, and did they seem to remember I existed, casting apologetic looks my way. Sorry, girlfriend, Tanya called, slapping her forehead like she'd forgotten something trivial. We just got caught up talking. Hey, how about you and Liam ride the next one together? Liam looked conflicted. Don't be mad, Thea, he said quickly. I'll come find you. Right after I watched the Ferris wheel begin to rise, a quiet TSK escaping my lips. This was so much trouble. I never thought my first relationship would die so quickly. And in the space where my feelings for Liam used to sit, something had already cooled. In my mind, Zoe's words played on a loop. Don't try to change a guy. If he's no good, replace him. So I found a second one. After the amusement park disaster, I stopped seeing Liam. Instead, I went with Zoe to a bar. I'd never been to one before, and the novelty of it all was exciting. The lights, the music, the buzz of people acting like they had nowhere else to be. That was where I met my second boyfriend, Finn. He was beautiful with messy blonde curls, and the kind of face that made people turn their heads twice. When I saw him, he was on stage with a guitar singing like he meant every word. The girls in the crowd screamed for him like he was famous. Zoe raised her glass with a smirk. See that? That's the kind of guy you want. Hot. Talented. The kind of guy who looks good on your arm. I scribbled her words down in my notebook, completely missing what she said next. But a guy like that, fun for a fling maybe. He's definitely a player. After the set, I intercepted Finn as he was leaving and asked for his number. He studied me for a long moment before a slow smile spread across his face. You look like a good girl, he said. What are you doing in a place like this? He was sharp. But Zoe always said love was strange and mysterious. So what if I look like a good girl? Didn't good girls deserve love too? After I got his number, I texted him every day, good morning, good night, reminders to bring a jacket when it was cold, and drink water when it was hot. I wasn't so much a girlfriend as I was his personal assistant. For some reason, Ben seemed to love it. We somehow stumbled into a relationship. After we got together, I spent almost all my free time with him. He seemed to have plenty of it, and he was incredibly generous, covering my expenses, taking a strange delight in dragging me on shopping sprees like it was a sport. But Finn also had a lot of friends, so many that there wasn't a single person in the bar who didn't know him. And when he started taking me around to different clubs, I started getting some unfriendly looks. Well, a woman with fiery red hair said, eyeing me like I'd wandered into the wrong room. Look who's in a relationship. Finn just grinned and slung an arm around my shoulder. What's wrong, Sasha? Jealous? Sasha rolled her eyes, but a smile played on her lips. Get over yourself. If I got jealous over you, I'd have dropped dead years ago. Her dismissive gaze ran over me, ending in a smirk that wasn't kind. Wow, a good girl. Since when did your taste change? Guess you got tired of spicy and decided to try a salad. Finn shot back without missing a beat, turning to me like he was showing me off. Thea's great. She never gets jealous, right? Just like Liam. I gave Finn a gentle, serene smile. Of course, it makes me happy to see you have so many friends. Sasha rolled her eyes again and shoved her phone in his face. 2 of my friends want your number. You going to add them or what? Finn didn't move. He just looked at me. What do you think? Should I? I had no idea what he wanted me to say. Zoe never covered this part. When I didn't understand something, I tended to answer carefully, like I was trying not to get a question wrong on an exam. So I blinked. It's up to you, I said. Whatever you want. My expression was perfectly innocent, my tone completely neutral. But for some reason, Finn looked irritated. His face went cold as he took out his phone, added the 2 contacts, and shoved it back in his pocket like he was slamming a door. Sasha's smirk deepened. She tossed her hair over her shoulder like she'd won something. Huh. And here, I thought you'd found the one. Guess not. Finn didn't say anything. He just grabbed my hand, led me out of the bar, and dropped me off at my dorm like he couldn't wait to be done with the night. I didn't understand what had just happened. So, of course, I went to consult Zoe. She was lounging in a slinky dress, applying lipstick like she was preparing for war. After hearing my story, she burst out laughing. You idiot. Then she leaned forward, suddenly serious. Your boyfriend is a total player. I suggest you find a chance to check his phone. If he's trash, don't get emotional. Don't cry about it. Just get out. She pursed her lips. Your time is precious. Don't waste it on guys like that. Then she pointed at me with a lipstick like it was a rule she needed to hammer into my skull. Thea, a guy can be bad, but he can't be trash. You remember what I told you, right? I nodded firmly. I know. If a guy's no good, replace him. Exactly. Zoe said, relieved. And remember, no getting all mushy and losing your head. If there's a problem, you replace him. She had more faith in me than anyone. I barely knew what I was doing. And she was already worried I'd turn into some hopeless romantic who cried over a guy who didn't deserve it. How wonderful. So the next time Finn asked me to go to a bar with him, I kept Zoe's words in mind. It was easy to get Finn to drink, especially when pretty girls were constantly coming over to buy him shots and ask for his number. When he was sufficiently buzzed, laughing too loudly with a girl from the next table, I managed to swipe his phone. His passcode was easy to guess. I might be clueless about love, but I was top of my class for a reason. I opened his messages and scrolled for 5 minutes before quietly putting the phone back. My eyes stung. The flirty chats, the half-hidden conversations, the kind of photos people sent when they thought they were special, only they weren't. There were too many. And he was texting like this every day, like it was routine. I finally understood what Zoe meant. If he's trash, don't get emotional. Just get out. As we were leaving the bar, I tugged on his sleeve. He stopped, looking down at me with a lazy smile. What's up? Then he added like he was already explaining himself before I could speak. That was all for show back there. Don't worry about it. I nodded once then said, seriously, Finn, I don't think we should hang out anymore. My words seemed to sober him up instantly. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Because I added those girls or because I was drinking with someone else? I shook my head, not wanting to argue. I don't like it, I said simply. From now on, let's just do our own thing. I didn't even like bars that much anyway. Doing my own thing sounded better. Finn let out a harsh laugh. What are you talking about, Thea? You met me in a bar. We're all just here to have fun. Why are you acting so high and mighty? Oh God. Zoe was so right. Persistent guys really were exhausting. Whatever you say, I told him. Then I flagged down a taxi and got in, leaving him standing on the sidewalk with his pride and his excuses. My second relationship was over. I let out a long, disappointed sigh. Where was I going to find a third? I don't know if you'd call it good luck or not, but a group of senior girls hosted a mixer, and I decided to go. It was at a karaoke bar with a dozen or so people singing and laughing and clapping offbeat. I sat clutching my soda, scanning the men in the room like I was shopping from a shelf, searching for someone who met Zoe's criteria. Finally, my eyes landed on a guy at the front holding a microphone. Tall, handsome, great voice. I remembered hearing his name on the way over. Some girls had been whispering about him like he was a campus legend, Joseph. But he was also known for being cold and aloof. No close friends to speak of and definitely no girl brothers. Learning from my first two mistakes, I decided to be proactive. Compared to the others, he seemed like a safe bet. At least I wouldn't run into the same problems again. So for the rest of the night, I shadowed his every move. When he sang, I stared. When he went to the bathroom, I hovered nearby. When he stepped outside for air, I followed. Maybe my gaze was a little too intense, because Joseph finally cornered me outside the karaoke room. He stared at me, expression unreadable. You keep following me, he said. Is there something you want? I gave him a huge grin. You're really good looking. Can I get your number? He let out a soft chuckle. There are a lot of good-looking people in the world. Why don't you go ask all of them? He had a point, but I'd already tried two others, and the emotional return on investment was terrible. So I asked, what actually mattered? Do you have a girl, bro? Joseph looked baffled and shook his head. 1 point for Joseph. My smile widened. Do you like going to bars? Swapping numbers with strangers? No, he said, looking even more confused. What is this? I beamed, showing all my teeth as I held up my phone. Then you're the one I'm looking for. He actually laughed at that. He was smarter than the others. What happened? He asked, still amused. Did your last boyfriend break your heart? Something like that. I mumbled, successfully getting his number. Joseph and I clicked instantly. We liked the same movies, the same books. We both loved musicals. We both liked tea and cheap hot pot places. He was patient in a way that felt rare. And he insisted on paying for everything, like it was just what you did when you cared. He'd buy a purse I glanced at for a second too long. He'd take me to workshops where we made our own rings. He'd take endless photos like he wanted proof we existed. We were so compatible that I was full of confidence about this new relationship. We fell into it easily and comfortably. After our 10th hot pot dinner, we were walking back to campus when he suddenly took my hand. So he said, should we make this official? I wasn't entirely sure what he meant by official, but I had a good feeling about Joseph. There was just one thing. Every weekend on the Sunday, he would vanish. I couldn't reach him. He wouldn't reply to any of my texts. It was like he dropped off the earth for a whole day and returned on Monday like nothing happened. I was curious, but with no experience in these matters, I swallowed my pride and went to Zoe for advice again. She was lying on a recliner with a face mask on, and she gave me a strange look. Are you sure you're his only girlfriend? This sounds weird. Who just disappears for a whole day every week? Her words sparked something sharp and right in my chest. Yeah, I said slowly. What do you think it is? Maybe he has a second girlfriend. Zoe said deadpan. Congrats, Thea. You found a special edition. I sighed, slumping onto my little stool. So, what do I do this time? Check his phone again? Zoe shot up from her chair so fast her face mask went flying. Absolutely not, she snapped. A phone only shows you the surface. If you really want to know what he's doing, you follow him. Track his Sunday. Then you'll know what you're dealing with. Tracking. That sounded advanced. But she had a point. If I was going to be serious about my research, I needed better data. So the next Sunday, I disguised myself like a budget spy. Oversized hoodie, baggy jeans, baseball cap pulled low, mask up to my eyes. I looked less like a girl in love, and more like someone about to rob a convenience store. At 7 a.m. sharp, I was camped outside Joseph's dorm. At 7:05, he came out right on schedule, wearing a simple t-shirt and jeans, headphones around his neck. He didn't look like a guy sneaking off to cheat. He looked like a guy going to grab breakfast. At 7:30, he stopped at a tiny dumpling stand off campus and ate a steaming basket of soup dumplings I'd never even heard of. At 8, he took a rideshare to the airport. I sat in the parking lot, staring at the departure signs, confused. Was he picking someone up, dropping someone off, running a secret double life as a flight attendant? But no one came. At noon, Joseph walked out of the airport alone. Shoulders slumped like he just failed a test only he knew about. He headed back toward campus, but not to our usual spots. Instead, he went to this hole-in-the-wall noodle place in an alley I'd never noticed. The kind with flickering neon and warped plastic menus. He ordered a bowl of soup noodles and sat there in silence. He didn't check his phone, didn't scroll, didn't even pretend to people watch. He just stared at the door. He'd ordered 2 bowls. One of them sat across from him, untouched, until the broth went cold. I slurped my own noodles in the corner, offended. So he didn't know where the good food was. He just never thought to bring me. After that, he walked to the library, went straight to a side room, and pulled a thin homemade scrapbook off a shelf. I watched him from the next aisle, peeking through a gap in the books like some off-brand stalker. The scrapbook was full of photos. A girl with long black hair and a shy smile standing with Joseph in front of a high school, a park, a coffee shop. Her captions were messy and sweet. Childhood jokes, high school secrets, college confessions. On the last page, there was a picture of her in a wedding dress with a man who definitely wasn't Joseph. The handwriting underneath was neat and final. Thank you for being my best friend. I'll write from overseas. My chest tightened. So that was his white moonlight. The girl he'd never quite let go of. Later, sprawled on Zoe's bed with that memory looping in my head, I let out the 20th sigh of the night. I'm retiring, I announced. From love. I'm just not cut out for it. Zoe snorted, scrolling through TikTok. Relax. As long as a man is breathing, he's not completely honest. Don't put them on pedestals. Worst case, treat them like little side quests to spice up your boring academic life. She tossed her phone onto the bed and poked my forehead. Men are like clothes. This one doesn't fit. You put it back on the rack and try another. You're acting like every guy is a family heirloom. I bury my face in my arms. You're right, I mumbled. Right now though, clothes were exhausting. Still, after a few days of moping, I started idly thinking about boyfriend number 4. I never got that far because before I could go shopping again, my unfinished business found me. The English department hosted a big reading and discussion event on campus. As the top student in my year, I got volunteered to give a talk. It was supposed to be a small thing, but the auditorium was packed. I stood backstage looking out at a sea of heads, my palms sweating. Zoe stood next to me, lightly touching up her lipstick in the reflection of her phone screen. What are you scared of? She said. You gave a speech in front of your whole elementary school. This is nothing. These people are just bigger and louder. Honestly, only Zoe could turn a panic attack into nostalgia. I stepped on stage, adjusted the mic, and started talking. Once I got going, the nerves faded. Then my gaze drifted across the audience. That was when I saw him. Liam sitting in the middle row, arms folded, face stormy, glaring at me like I'd personally ruined his GPA. Weird. Shouldn't he be somewhere entertaining Tanya? I pushed the thought aside and finished my talk. As soon as the event ended, I grabbed my notes and tried to slip out the side door. No such luck. Liam appeared at the end of the hallway like a jump scare, blocking my way. His jaw was clenched, eyes dark. Thea, he said. Why haven't you answered my texts? It's been weeks. I've been busy. I answered honestly. He stared at me like I'd slapped him. Do you want to break up or something? Break up? Oh, that part. I blinked. Somehow in all my replacing and upgrading, I'd skipped the return old model step. I nodded. Serious? Sure, if that works for you. I started to walk past him, but he grabbed my wrist. Wait. I can explain. He rushed out. I blocked Tanya. We're not hanging out anymore. I cut her off. I blinked again. Oh, I said. That's between you and her. How can you be so calm? He demanded. We're dating, Thea. For now, I said politely. But I don't try to change people. If you like having a girl, bro, that's your choice. His expression collapsed into a jumble of frustration and hurt. Weird. He'd ignored every boundary I never verbally set, but now he looked shocked I wasn't throwing myself at his feet. I gave him a small wave. I won't be mad at you, I said. You're just not what I'm looking for. Take care. Okay. I thought that was the end of it. It would have been if someone hadn't snapped a photo of us in the hallway and posted it to the campus forum. By that night, there were threads titled things like Campus Goddess Dumping Senior Heartthrob, Love Triangle with Girl Biaro, Discuss. Comment sections exploded. Apparently, I was now the villain in a tragic triangle between devoted senior, innocent girl bro, and heartless top student. News travels fast. So fast that it reached Joseph too. A week later, I went to another mixer. I told myself it was for networking. It was absolutely not because I still had boyfriend number 4 written in the back of my notebook. The guys there were fine, not hideous, not breathtaking. None of them had the devastating visuals of my previous 3 disasters. I nursed my soda, sang a song or two, and slipped out early. When I stepped onto the sidewalk, the cool air hit my cheeks, and so did a familiar voice. Thea. Joseph was leaning against a lamp post, hands in his pockets, looking way too composed for someone standing outside a karaoke bar. Even under the dim light, he was annoyingly handsome. Why haven't you replied to my messages? He asked, well, furrowing. And why are you at a mixer? I scratched my cheek, a little embarrassed. Oh, that I nodded to myself. We were together before. Yeah, but I broke up with you. His expression went blank. When I tilted my head in my heart, I said honestly, that did not help. Thea, he said slowly like he was trying very hard to stay patient. Why would you go to a mixer if we're together? I sighed. Because we're not. You still love someone else. He stiffened. My words landed like a stone tossed into still water. I followed you on Sunday, I said since there was no point lying. The airport, the noodles, the scrapbook, his face palled. That was a long time ago, he said quickly. She's married. I don't. You still go to all her places. I interrupted gently. Eat her favorite food. Read the book she made for you. You're allowed to miss her, Joseph. But that means you're not really with me. He opened his mouth, closed it again. I gave him a small apologetic smile. I can't change you, I said. And I don't want to compete with someone who isn't even here. So you don't meet my boyfriend's standards. I flagged down a cab behind me. I could feel his stare burning into my back. He reached out, fingers brushing my sleeve. Wait, I can throw the scrapbook away, he blurted. I'll stop going to those places. I want to be serious with you this time. It won't happen again. I promise. I'm sure you mean it right now, I said softly. But you already ran out of credit with me. The taxi pulled up. I slipped inside and closed the door. Through the window, I saw him standing there, fists clenched, lips pressed in a thin line. I looked away. Zoe was right. A guy can be bad, but he can't be rotten. I'd hit my rotten quota. Apparently, the universe thought I still hadn't suffered enough. Because a few days later, I walked into my classroom and almost turned around and walked right back out. Tanya was standing in front of my desk, arms crossed, eyes blazing. What did you say to Liam? She snapped. Why did he block me? I blinked. Oh, I hadn't said anything to Liam, but clearly he'd done some delayed spring cleaning. If he blocked you, I said you should ask him. Why are you asking me? Tanya rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might detach. Don't play dumb, she sneered. You're jealous because we're close, right? I've known him way longer than you. If I wanted him, I could have had him ages ago. You think a few comments from you can break us up? I opened my mouth, not even sure what to say. I didn't have to. A familiar hurricane swept in from the back of the room. Oh my God, Zoe drawled, walking right up to us. I step out for one coffee and come back to this. She looked Tanya up and down, then let out a sharp little laugh. You know, she said sweetly. I've seen your type before. People who wave around the word pure like a flag while they're busy blurring every boundary in sight. Tanya's face flushed. What's that supposed to mean? She snapped. It means, Zoe continued calmly. Real tomboy fake angel is a tired act. At least the girls who flirt openly are honest about what they're doing. You're just budget. The entire room went quiet. My shoulders shook with suppressed laughter. Tanya pointed at me and trembling. Fine, you two wait, she hissed. You want drama? You're going to get it. I'll wait, I said automatically. Zoe yanked me out of my seat. Wait for what? She hissed under her breath. Lightning, let's go outside. She glared at me like a disappointed coach. How could you let her talk to you like that? I was going to say something, I muttered, but you got there first. Zoe flipped her hair. Damn right I did. She's your boyfriend's good buddy. She rolled her eyes. Or ex-boyfriend. Whatever. Trash is trash. She nudged me with her elbow. New bar opened downtown. Come out with me tonight. If you can't find a decent guy at a mixer, maybe you'll find one at a different bar, or at least a prettier one. It was hard to argue with that logic. The new bar was loud and dim, light strobing, music pounding through my chest. Zoe tried to teach me some of the social games she played. Flirting, dodging, rejecting without actually saying no. But I was a hopeless student. In that kind of lighting, I could barely tell who was who. Every time someone came up to chat, I just smiled and added their contact when they asked. By the time I added my 18th new friend, my phone was snatched right out of my hand. What the? I looked up. Finn. Of course. He looked almost exactly like the night we met, only angrier. His jaw was clenched, eyes dark, pearls a mess from running his hands through them. We need to talk, he bit out. He dragged me out of the bar into the cool night air, ignoring my protests. Bia, I've been texting you nonstop, he said, voice rising. Calling you. Looking for you at every bar I know. And you're here adding guys like you're passing out Halloween candy. I blinked. You've been looking for me? I asked honestly. Why are you at this bar? His eyes widened like I'd missed the point on purpose. Because the first time I met you, you were at a bar, he shouted. How else am I supposed to find you? Oh, I said. That actually made a weird kind of sense. Well, I added, you found me. Good job. Now you can go home and rest. His grip on my wrist tightened. What do you mean go home? He snapped. Are you trying to break up with me? His reaction was so delayed it was almost impressive. I already told you. I reminded him. We should just do our own thing. We never broke up. He fired back. You can't just decide it by yourself. You're still my girlfriend. Heads were turning. Even on a quieter street, people slowed down to stare. I was just starting to wonder if it would be rude to run when Finn suddenly hauled me into his arms. His voice dropped. Look, he said softer. I know I messed up, okay? I know I act like an idiot sometimes, but you're a good girl, Thea. You are different. I really like you. I'll stop with the stupid stuff. Just don't walk away. All right. He was tall. My head barely cleared his shoulder. Wrapped in his arms like that. Struggling out would have required a full wrestling move I did not know how to execute. I made a mental note. Next time asked Zoe what to do when trash clings. I didn't get the chance. A hand clamped down on Finn's shoulder and yanked him backward. The punch that followed was fast and clean. Finn staggered, lips split, eyes wild. My heart lurched until I saw who threw it. Liam. His usually relaxed face was twisted with anger. So Liam said coldly, grabbing Finn by the collar. You're the guy messing with my girlfriend. I'm your what? I said weakly. Finn shoved him back, eyes blazing. Your girlfriend? He scoffed. That's funny. Because she was with me when you were busy cozying up to your little girl bro. They were in each other's faces in seconds, trading accusations and shvees, voices echoing off the walls. A small crowd started to form at a distance. That was my cue. I slipped away like a ghost and sprinted back to the bar, nearly slamming headfirst into Zoe. She saw my expression and immediately set her drink down. What happened? She demanded. My first boyfriend and my second boyfriend are beating each other up, I blurted. They both think we never broke up. Zoe's pupils dilated like she'd just seen a plot twist on Netflix. Wait, she said slowly. You didn't break up with them. I scratched my cheek. I forgot. I admitted I just stopped seeing them. And technically, I guess I never broke up with Joseph either. For a second, Zoe just stared. Then she choked on her drink so hard it sprayed everywhere. Thea, she gasped, clutching her chest. I swear to God, you don't just replace them like phone wallpapers. You have to press the delete button first. I thought. Replace implied delete, I muttered. Not to them. I tugged on her sleeve helplessly. What do I do now? She sighed so deeply it sounded like a soul leaving her body. First, she said. We get you out of the blast radius. Then we deal with the 3 walking red flags you accidentally collected. I thought she was exaggerating. She was not, because not long after that, my third boyfriend, Joseph, was waiting outside my dorm. Thea, he said, voice flat but eyes sharp. We need to talk. I was tired. What now? I asked. He crossed his arms. I know everything, he said. Liam, Finn me. You've been juggling 3 guys at once, haven't you? For a split second, I felt nothing. Just a dull wave of annoyance. Well, I said honestly, you're all kind of terrible. I was planning to break up with everyone. Can we just do that and call it a day? He stared at me like I'd grown another head. No, he said finally. If you dumb me now, I'll tell everyone the whole story, every detail. Let's see how your little campus forum handles that. I gaped. You're blackmailing me. He shrugged, almost apologetic. Either that or we sit down and talk it out. Your choice. Between immediate public execution and the group meeting, I picked the second, which is how I ended up in a cafe, seated across from 3 very familiar faces. Liam on my left, jaw clenched. Finn on my right, sporting a fading bruise. Joseph across from me, come like a moderator at panel. This is Liam, Joseph said dryly, gesturing. Your first boyfriend, senior in our major. This is Finn, part-time musician and full-time headache. I'm Joseph. Your third mistake. Finn Brissolde. I write and produce music. Actually, he snapped. The bar gigs are just for fun. Not important right now, Joseph said. What matters is we were all under the impression we were your boyfriend. 3 pairs of accusing eyes turned to me. I took a sip of my milk tea unfazed. Zoe told me. I began carefully that if a guy isn't honest, I should replace him. I took that very literally. Liam's brows drew together. What do you mean not honest? He asked. You had a girl bro hanging off you like a backpack? I reminded him. You knew that would make a girlfriend uncomfortable, and you didn't change anything. That's not honest. His face darkened. He looked away. Trash. Finn muttered under his breath. I turned to Finn. And you? I said you were hugging girls at bars, letting them send you all kinds of things, adding everyone who asked, flirting with half the city while you had a girlfriend. Not honest. Finn's cheeks flushed, his jaw tightened. Trash, Liam said flatly. Then I looked back at Joseph. And you have finished spending every Sunday revisiting your ex's memories. Eating her favorite food. Reading the scrapbook she made. Keeping me in the present while you live in the past. Also not honest, Joseph's lips parted. For a second, he had nothing to say. Trash, Finn and Liam said together. Silence settled over the table. I popped my straw out of the lid and shrugged. Look, I said we didn't sleep together. You don't owe me anything. I don't need you to take responsibility. We can just end it here. Clean break. No drama. In my head, Zoe's voice reminded me. Don't bother learning how to curse people out. Just don't waste time on them. I was doing my best. Apparently, that wasn't what they wanted. Wait, Joseph said quickly, grabbing my wrist. I can change the scrapbook. I'll throw it away. I'll stop going there. I'll put everything into us. Yeah, Liam cut in. And Tanya and I never did anything inappropriate. I swear if I step out of line, may lightning strike me. I've already blocked her. I won't see her again. Finn stared at them like they'd lost their minds. You guys think I'm that casual? He said incredulously. I might flirt, but I'm not sleeping around. I can go get tested right now if you want. I'm clean. Clean, right? Zoe's other standard. Looked good, not rotten. Preferably disease-free. If I'd had any interest in eating leftovers, this might have been a compelling group pitch. I stood up, dropping my empty cup in the trash. I'm tired, I said. I'm going back to my dorm. You all can do whatever you want. Wait, Joseph said, standing too. What if we just start over? We can take you shopping. There's this new bag you liked, remember? Or dinner. Liam blurted. There's a new Korean barbecue place. I'll take you there. Or hot pot. You love hot pot. Finn snorted. Hot pot is my thing, he said. Thea, let's go eat hot pot and catch a movie. My treat. We can hit the mall after. Being surrounded like that felt less like romance and more like being hunted. I bolted. For extra safety, I even had the cab circle the block 3 times before heading to Zoe's off-campus studio apartment. She'd splurged on a single and it showed clothes, makeup, shoes, all carefully organized chaos. When I walked in, arms full of emotional baggage, she turned and stared like she was seeing a ghost. You're still alive, she said slowly. Interesting. Then she stepped aside. And your boyfriends, she added, have been dropping off offerings. Every inch of free floor space was covered with shopping bags, designer logos, limited edition sneakers, skincare sets, jewelry boxes. All this, Zoe said, gesturing dramatically. From men you didn't officially break up with. I told you to replace them, not build a herm. I whimpered and sank onto my little stool. What do I do? I asked. They're like ghosts. They keep showing up. Zoe tilted her head. Honestly, she said. You could do worse. They're all decent-looking, generous, questionable decision-making. Sure, but at least they're trying now. If you really can't shake them, maybe just keep them around. That is not what you said before. She grinned. Before you were naive, now you have experience. Congratulations, baby. You've grown. I groaned, burying my face in my hands. I didn't officially get back together with any of them. But after that cafe meeting, they never really left. If one of them wasn't hovering at the edge of my day, another one was. I'd walk out of the library and find Liam waiting with coffee. Leave the lab at night and find Finn leaning on a lamppost with takeout and a goofy smile. Head to a bookstore and run into Joseph by accident. Hands already full of snacks he knew I liked. 2 years slipped by like that. Joseph graduated first. He went home to take over the family business. And as a graduation gift, he bought a small condo near campus for me. I told him it was too much. He insisted it wasn't. Within a week, both Liam and Finn had mysteriously acquired keys. On weekends, when Zoe was out partying, and I didn't feel like going back to the dorm, I'd crash at the condo. Sometimes I'd wake up to Liam making breakfast in the open kitchen, sleeves rolled up, hair messy. Sometimes I'd come back from class and find Finn sprawled on the couch, guitar on his lap, strumming something soft and stupidly romantic. Sometimes I'd open the door and smell soup simmering, Joseph moving calmly around the kitchen like he'd always lived there. I spent one New Year's Eve there instead of going home. My parents sent a polite Happy New Year study hard text. Zoe disappeared to some rooftop party. So, it was just me and the 3 walking complications at the dining table, eating hot pot, drinking too much, talking nonsense. Someone pulled out a ring box. I remember a blurry image of a man kneeling, eyes shining, asking something serious. When I woke up the next morning, I had a headache and absolutely no idea who had been on one knee. There were 3 ring boxes lined up neatly on the nightstand. 3. I stared at them for a long time. How? I muttered. Do they expect me to pick one of you, and then pretend I never knew the other 2 existed? The next year Liam graduated too. He joined forces with Joseph and Finn. And together they bought a house in a quiet suburb not too far from campus. They put it in my name. Just like that, I became a tiny, unwilling homeowner. Time kept moving. Eventually, it was my turn to graduate. I'd always thought I'd be the one left behind while everyone else ran ahead. Instead, I was the one packing. I boxed up a few things that were actually mine in the house, and shipped them out in secret. When the movers finished and the rooms echoed a little too much, I stood in the entryway looking at the empty space, feeling surprisingly calm. I'd always said I was a simple girl. Simple girls. I decided it deserved simple boyfriends, not 3 dramatic, half-changed men in a shared fantasy house. So when I got an offer from a company overseas, a solid job far away in a city I'd never been to before, I didn't hesitate. I accepted. I bought my ticket. I didn't tell them. Of course, they found out anyway. The day I wheeled my suitcase into the airport, I barely made it to the check-in line before someone grabbed the handle. Thea. Joseph breathing hard, hair a little out of place for once. Liam right behind him, staring at my suitcase like it was a bomb. Where are you going? Joseph demanded. Why didn't you tell us? Overseas, I said. New job, new life. Liam let out a sharp laugh that sounded anything but amused. So, you just plan to leave? He asked without saying a word. I nodded. Well, yeah, it's my life. Joseph flinched. What about us? He asked quietly. What are we doing now? Playing house? Practicing for the future? I gave him a small, almost apologetic smile. Kind of, I admit it. But that's your coping mechanism, not mine. Liam's voice was tight. You're really not upset? He asked. Not even a little? I thought about the apartment, the house, the rings, about the girl brothers, the bar girls, the wedding scrapbook overseas. About 2 years of almost. I'm relieved, I said. Honestly, I'm tired of being the center of a storm I never asked for. Liam's shoulders sagged. Don't go, he said suddenly. His eyes were shiny in a way that made me look away. Please, whatever you want, we'll do it. Just don't leave like this. I gently pulled my sleeve out of his grasp. That's not fair, I said. To you or to me? Joseph swallowed hard. Then wait for us, he said hoarsely. Give us time. We'll come to you. Just don't shut the door completely. It was such a dramatic line that for a second I almost laughed. Sure, I said lightly. You can try. They followed me all the way to security. At the gate, Joseph suddenly pulled me into a hug. Don't forget me, he murmured into my hair. His voice shook. Wait for me, okay? I patted his back politely. Uh-huh, I said. I'll remember you exist. Liam gripped my hand until the very last call. Take care of yourself, he said, voice low. And wait for me. Why was everyone so obsessed with me waiting? I was the one catching a flight, but I nodded anyway. Agreeing was easier than arguing. Once I finally got on the plane and buckled in, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in years. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and smiled. New country, new job, new city, and eventually boyfriend number 4. The plane taxied, sped up, lifted off. I barely started to relax when a hand caught my wrist. I opened my eyes, ready to snap at some random stranger, and froze. The guy in the seat next to me tipped his baseball cap back, just enough for me to see the familiar blonde curls tucked underneath. Finn smiled, eyes crinkling. What a coincidence, he said softly. We just couldn't stand the thought of you running around in a foreign country by yourself. I repeated weakly. Liam and Joseph will need some time to tie things up, he said. I'm the most flexible, so I came first. Of course he was. Of course. I let my head fall back against the seat and stared at the overhead compartment. Fine, he sighed. If you're going to stalk me, at least make yourself useful. Wake me up when the food comes and get me one of those eye masks. Finn chuckled quietly. Yes, ma'am, he said. Whatever you say. I closed my eyes again. Fresh country, fresh start. And eventually when I finally get around to pressing all the right delete buttons, boyfriend number